reported that there were several U.S. senators who might have engaged in illegal insider trading. They are not allowed to use information that they've learned through their jobs that is not available to the public in order to make decisions about their stock portfolios. But last January 24th, senators, every single one of them, had a briefing on the severity of COVID-19. Now, keep in mind that these senators didn't make public statements about the severity, but a lot of them did dump stocks because you could expect that certain businesses aren't going to perform so well if the virus is as serious as it turned out to be. Now, a Republican lawmaker, Representative Matt Gaetz from Florida, is not happy about the fact that these senators did that and actually wants some consequences for them. Now, one of the senators who was implicated in this is the Senate Intel chairman, Richard Burr. And so Matt Gaetz called him out via Twitter saying, Katie Hill gets run out of Congress for screwing a campaign staffer absent any complaint. Senator Burr stays as intelligence chairman after screwing all Americans by falsely reassuring us with op-eds on COVID while he dumped his stock portfolio early. This is not fair. I have so many thoughts on this. First of all, I will support anyone who wants to call out these senators. I believe that these senators should be investigated. They broke the law. And it's not just Richard Burr. There's Kelly Loeffler from Georgia, Dianne Feinstein, Richard Inhofe. Like, all of these people are coming up, and we should be investigating them. Okay, if they dumped all these stocks right after their briefing and didn't address the seriousness of COVID-19 publicly, they need to be investigated. They need to be prosecuted. And so I'm happy that Matt Gaetz brought that up. But I do want to say this is now, I think, the second time that Gaetz has defended Katie Hill. And I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, well, I know why. So first, about Burr, I agree with Matt Gaetz, and I got no problem agreeing with him, even though he's a massive right-winger and terribly wrong on every other issue. I agreed with him on the war. I agree with him that the senators should have consequences for that kind of insider trading. But also, this is a small note. Burr is a rare Republican senator that has at times checked Donald Trump and not just gone along with everything he says. So Republicans feel like it's a slight win-win to ding Burr. Just keep that in mind. Now, why is Matt Gaetz supporting Katie Hill? Well, it's not because he's benevolent. It's because he's also famous for at least talking about and wanting to have sex with staffers. So Katie Hill did that. And so Matt Gaetz has got a dog in that fight. He is known to have created a point system when he was a legislator in the state of Florida for sleeping with people, including staffers. So I'll tell you the point system. Him and a bunch of his buddies that were legislators said that you would get 1 point for having sex with a lobbyist, 2 for a staffer, 3 for another legislator, and 6 for a married legislator.
Jeez.
Okay. Now, what they do with lobbyists and legislators is their business, and I don't really care. Okay, and I don't care if they give themselves points. I don't care what their private business is. But sleeping with staffers is completely and utterly out of bounds. And if you're wondering, well, hey, Cenk, are you being consistent on it? Yes, because Katie Hill now that we have more evidence that she also slept with a congressional staffer, I actually don't think it was close at all. She definitely should have resigned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, of course. If any progressive had slept with a campaign staffer, any male, period, any progressive, a progressive male, no one would defend them. Not one person in America would defend them. They'd all be run out of town. So why do we have different standards for Katie Hill? So there's no, I don't shed a tear for that at all.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, I think that if there's any cause, if there's any reason to believe that criminal behavior exists among our lawmakers, members of the Senate, especially when, they, in a lot of cases, downplayed the seriousness and severity of COVID-19 publicly, but privately, they knew what the truth was, and they prepared themselves financially for when the market would tank. So they risked people's lives, and on top of that, broke a law regarding insider trading. And it's amazing because every once in a while I see these tweets about how, no, well, they're lawmakers, so they're immune to those types of law. No, they're not. The law applies to them. It applies to them. And they can't be doing insider trading based on non-public information that they're getting from these briefings. Now, I do want to give you some of the details, Cenk, because I know you heard about it. So Kelly Loeffler from Georgia was appointed as senator because she's a meritless loser who can't win based on her actual talent or skill. So she had to, use her connections and her money to get appointed as senator, something that she's not qualified for at all. She and her husband, who is the head of the New York Stock Exchange, dumped about $3 million worth of stock following her, the Senate's briefing on January 24th. And her excuse has been, well, I mean, I knew nothing about that. We have like financial advisors who take care of our stock portfolio. I had no idea that this was going on. Who knows? Maybe she's telling the truth. Doubt it, but she should be investigated.
So when she was appointed, the main reason that reporters pointed to was that she was a very good fundraiser for Republicans. So it's always the money. And now, I didn't know at the time that her husband was the head of the New York Stock Exchange. Now, putting those two things together, it's not surprising that she knows a lot of wealthy people, and she, in essence, bought that seat for herself. Well, if you're in the business of buying things like that, well, you're going to have to save your money. So since they had information the rest of us didn't, they dumped all their stock. And she says, well, look, my husband made the trades. Yeah, but you talked to him. and it doesn't make it any better if the head of the New York Stock Exchange had information that no one else at the New York Stock Exchange had. That doesn't make the situation any better at all. And you're not going to tell, no one's going to believe, at least no real person is going to believe that it was just a wild coincidence.